Hello everybody, welcome back. So in this video, we'll be taking a look at data types. This is one of the important fundamentals of C programming language. Data types, they are very important. Yeah. Why are they important? Look at the simple definition of data type here. So data type in programming are like different categories or types of information that we can work with, right? They help us tell computer how to store and use different kind of data. Now, if we're talking about data, what are we talking about? Definitely, we want to write programs, right? We want to write programs. Now, our programs are going to are going to contain different kind of data. Data like numbers. You can have something like this. Um, you can have something like this. One. This is the data, right? I can maybe want to use my name, right? This is the data. I can have something like this. 8.9. This is another data, and I can have something like this. Let's say it's single character, right? Or it could be uppercase, right? Or symbols, right? Special characters. Now, how do I express this to the computer? In C, if you want to express this kind of data, you need to be specific, right? You need to categorize. They call this kind of data the primitive or the basic data type in C. You need to be specific. You need to tell the system that okay, this is what you want to work with, right? The kind of data type you specify will determine the kind of data it can hold, right? So if you want to work with, let's say this one, for example, now we use what we call the integer data type, right? The integer data type, which is the int. It's called int. You specify by using int to store the integer. So we can use this one for to store like the one data type. Now, if I want to store below, um, strings are not specifically defined in C. So you use a data type called char, right? With this symbol, with this array symbol, right? So with this kind of data type, you can store what we know as below, the string below. So you enclose this in double quotes to signify that okay, this is what this is a string. Now, if I want to store this number um with decimal in front, I can use float, right? I can use float, right? These are the name of the data types. Yeah, I can use float. Float has the ability to hold this kind of data, right? Numbers with decimal. You can see that int, which is the integer, is holding the whole number, right? This is holding number with decimal. Then how about if I want to store the char, the single character or symbol? I can use char. Yeah, so char data type allow me to store single characters, single character, one character at a time, right? And you specify it by using the single quote. You enclose your character in single quotes. So we are working with different kind of data like I made mention of, and you need to specify to the computer when you're writing C programs that okay, this is the kind of data you want to store and later make use of. So let's see these things practically on my terminal. I have a file here called data type, so I'll just go into it, and I have my boilerplate already, right? So let's say I want to store the one now, for example. I need to specify with the int. This integer will reserve the right amount of memory space for this data type. We'll talk about memory spaces later, right? So it will reserve the right amount of memory, but most importantly, it is telling the computer here that okay, I want to work with an integer data type. That's the whole number, right? So I can give it a variable. I can name it num. Remember our variable, right? You can name it whatever you want to name it, right? Now, int num, I can store my one here. This is valid, it will hold it. I can't specify int, then put in 1.9. No, this is wrong. It will not hold it. It's like, okay, you're telling the system you're trying to store the whole number and you're giving it decimal. Yeah, so it won't hold. So one, this is good. And if I want to store which other one did you mention? Int Okay, let's say a series of characters, right? Okay, let's store character first. So cha will store a single character, right? So cha, let me say alpha. Remember, the name of a variable should be descriptive, right? Alpha. So I'll store a inside, terminate this statement. Then on the next line, let's say we want to store series of character. Now this char like this would not accept. We'll run the program, then we'll make changes and see what they can accept and what they can accept. So if I want to store series of characters, like the example, my name, so I need to specify with char name with this symbol. This is called the array symbol, right? So equals to Bello, right? I end that statement. Then if I want to store a number with decimal now, I can now use the float. Let me give it num2, right? Equals to 2.5. This is good, right? So the kind of data type and data are related because the kind of data type you specify will determine the kind of data you are going to store inside your variable, right? So let's try and print this out. Remember our format specifiers, right? We're working with different kind of data, and if you want to use the printf, that's print formatted, you need to specify. So I'll say num is an integer, so I'll specify with the %d, then new line, and I'll bring down the name of my variable. Printf. The second one is the alpha for character, so it's %c, my new line, and I'll bring down the name of my variable. Then printf the name, which is a string, so name, the specifier is %s, and I'll bring down the name of my variable name, right? Then for the floats, the format specifier for float is %f, right? So num2 %f, new line, then I'll bring down the name of my variable, which is num2. Alright, so let's save this, then we'll compile and run it and see what it gives to us. So GCC data types. Okay, I didn't specify with the -o what the name of my executable should be, so I should add the should I say the standard or the one the computer will give, that's a.out, right? So I can run this a.out and we can see num1, my program is working fine. Why? Because the kind of data I specified is the kind of data I'm storing inside it. How about if I go in and try to give I specify int on line 5 and I try to give it a floating number, right? And remember I told you that car will only hold a single character. How about I give it 2, right? Now the name, how about I just give it let me delete this and give it a number. It's funny, right? And give it a number, right? Then the float, I give it a single. It's expecting a number with decimal, but I give it a single distance. So let me save this, clear my screen, recompile. Let me give it a name now, an executable name. Alright, so we can see it's giving warning, warning, and error. It won't accept it. You need to, the kind of data type you specify will determine the kind of memory space that will be allocated to your data, and that kind of the kind of memory time, the kind of data type you specify will determine the kind of value you can store inside your variable. I hope the video help us understand what data types are. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.